We gave you insight into the new rugby program last week. Over the next 2 weeks, we switch our focus to the basketball court. With the regular season quickly approaching, both the Marywood men's and women's teams are making last-minute adjustments to prepare for a long journey. First up, women's basketball, where head coach Tara Macciocco and her squad have some unfinished business to take care of. She has been women's basketball head coach since 2004. In her 13 seasons at Marywood, she has made the playoffs 9 times. She also serves the university as Assistant Director of Athletics and Recreation, Marywood's Compliance and Academic Coordinator, and Senior Woman Administrator. Named Colonial State's Athletic Conference Coach of the Year the past 2 seasons, she led the Pacers to back-to-back #1 seeds in the conference. She is a 2004 Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame inductee and ranked by the Scranton Times-Tribune as one of the area's top 100 athletes of all time. You get to hear from Coach Tara Macciocco next.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Welcome back to the show. I am pleased to be joined by women's basketball head coach Tara Macciocco.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on the show. First, I want to tell you that it is a pleasure to have both the men's and women's basketball teams on for the first season. And I want to get into how you even got into basketball, not even coaching yet. So do you remember the first time you picked up a basketball, or around what age did you pick up a basketball, and how did you pick that sport specifically?
Well, my dad was a high school girls basketball coach, so I think I was probably 3 or 4 years old in the gym with him at practice, running around, dribbling a ball through my legs, picking up my leg because I couldn't really handle the basketball. But so I was in a gym at age 3, and that's really how I got into basketball, because my dad coached at Dunmore for 28 years.
Yeah. So. Did you start playing? When did you start playing competitively? What age?
Probably at age 5.
Age 5.
We started at Dunmore Biddy, and I could remember. Like probably age 7 or 8, playing in a biddy league with older girls, and we lost the game, and I remember going over to my mom, and I was so angry that we lost the game. I was kind of hitting my mom. I was so mad about it. So I knew at that time that I was going to be really into basketball and really get competitive with basketball.
Yeah, and a competitor.
Yes.
So take us to, you went through high school, you scored a bunch of points, and then you moved on to college, and what was that like, kind of transitioning from high school to college, and where did you go for like a major, or did your love for basketball continue to college, and Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I graduated from Dunmore High School, and I think I graduated with about 120 students in my class. And I went to Penn State University and State College on a full basketball scholarship. And one of my freshman bio classes, I think, had 1,000 students in it. So like majorly big university that was a lot different than high school. And playing-wise, it was much different as well. I went from a really small school, not as physical, and then you got into the Division I game, much more physical. But absolutely amazing experience being able to participate at Penn State and play in the Big Ten and experience all of the travel that we had going to play big schools. We played a lot of #1 teams in the country. We played Tennessee. They won a couple national championships, so it was a great experience playing basketball there. I had 1 year of eligibility left when I finished at Penn State, and I went to Lock Haven and did my master's there, and I finished playing a year of basketball there. So I kind of played at the Division I level, Division II level, and now I've been coaching at the Division III level. So.
Nice. And tell us what it was like. A lot of people don't know what it's like to play at the Division I level. A lot of people don't get that opportunity. What was it like? Take us back to maybe your first game or your first season from the high school level to the Division I level. How much of a jump was that for you mentally?
Mentally, it's tough because you're not used to playing people that are all at the same level as you, if not better, and more physical, more aggressive, quicker, more athletic. So it really takes a toll on your mind. You're doing everything you possibly can to build up your strength and build up your confidence to play at that level. But I think it was a great experience. I think I learned a lot from a strategy perspective coming in to transition into coaching.
And I was just about to ask you that. What did you take away? What was maybe the biggest element? Was it the strategical element of basketball that you took away that gives you an ability to coach now?
I think that, and I think from a recruiting perspective, having played at the Division I level, it's a job. You're being paid to play basketball, and that's really all you're there to do. And I think being able to talk to high school students now and kind of say to them, like, you could go to a Division I school and it's going to become your job, or you could go to a smaller school and really experience college life and be able to get involved in a lot of clubs, organizations, and really still have that college experience that you don't necessarily get at the Division I level. But strategy-wise, I mean, still to this day I talk about, and hopefully my players will say the same thing when they come on, I always say remember who you are and what you represent, and that's something that I took from my college coach, because it's bigger than the game of basketball. You're representing your family, you're representing your school, your program, so that's one of the biggest things I took away from that is college athletics is more than just playing a sport.
You talked about your college coach, but who was your, I guess, biggest maybe mentor in basketball or even in coaching? You could pick one or the other.
My dad, definitely. Hands down, my dad. I mean, he got me started in the game of basketball, and still to this day I feel bad for him because after every practice, after every game, that's the first phone call I make to talk to him about strategy, but also kind of what could I do differently? You want to watch film with me? Can you come into practice and evaluate this and give me some insight? So definitely him. He does it the right way. He's a very, very positive person, and he does things, he plays by the rules, always has and always will, and I think that's definitely my dad.
What was his best coaching advice to you?
I think do it the right way. You know, we take pride in how our daily work habits are, and the work ethic that he instilled in me, and making sure that we kind of are caring, and all the values of taking care of our players and making sure that we're staying in touch with former players, and I think just doing it the right way.
And from that perspective, so you combine the fact that you went to D1 school, you played, then your father, what was what is your biggest tool that you can use to kind of mentor the players? What was your biggest maybe personality tool? I know you don't want to talk of yourself, but
I think I'm very competitive, and I hope that comes off on my players. You've been at some of our games. You see me. I get pretty animated on the sidelines when things are going our way. I'm very pumped up and fist pumping a lot, and so I know there's been pictures of me down on the ground slapping the floor and things like that. And I hope that the competitiveness rubs off on them, and hopefully the love of the game. I mean, I absolutely love the game of basketball. Been doing it since I was 3 years old, so.
It's a part of your life now.
Yes.
So when we come back, we will talk more with Coach Macciocco about her transition to Marywood-University. Don't go anywhere.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Thank you for staying with us at Beyond the Arch as our conversation with Coach Macciocco continues. So switching gears to Marywood, how did you get here?
After I finished grad school, a position opened up at Marywood-University, and I was an assistant coach there for 3 years, where I also worked in the admissions office and really learned the ins and outs of recruiting at a Division III school, learning the financial aid process and all that. And this job opened, and at the time, prior to me taking the job, it was a part-time job. So it opened up when I was at Wilkes and became the first full-time coaching position at Marywood. And they combined it with assistant volleyball. So I was thrilled to be able to get back to my backyard, and my family lives 5 minutes up the road from here. But I did have to, the first 4 years I was here, I was the assistant volleyball coach as well as the head basketball coach, taking over a program that had never had a full-time coach. So recruiting was my major impetus coming in as a new head coach. And we were in that old gym. I don't know if anybody remembers the old gym that we were in, that the architecture school is in now, but major differences. We had a gym that had bleachers on one side of it. We had a weight room that had like a treadmill and a stack of weights. So our backs were up against the wall competitively.
So selling it to a prospective athlete may have been a little bit more difficult for you. So how did you start? Your recruiting's probably evolved since then, but how did you start originally selling Marywood to students?
Those first couple of years when we were in the older building, it was more about selling yourself and your program and what your vision was for the program. And the first year coming in, I think we had 3 or 4 young ladies come in, and then the second year we brought 12 in, and it was like we kind of brought a whole new class in with the intention to tell them that we were going into a new building, so they were going to be the first group that got to play in that. So that the new building definitely helped us recruiting wise, and now everything has changed completely. I mean, the athletics department has grown so much. The success of the athletic department has helped us tremendously with recruiting. All the addition of different sports has helped us. And then the success of our program and the tradition of our program. I think tradition and success help that. You don't really have to do as much selling of yourself as you did in the past. Yeah,
and I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, but maybe you can even talk about your first time as a head coach, or even the first time as a head coach of Marywood. What was that like for you? What was it being at the helm, coaching your players? What was it like?
Well, this was my first head coaching job, so this was the first experience I had. Was 14 years ago in that old gym, playing against some of the same teams that we still currently play. But I think coming in as a young coach, you have all of these expectations and all of the things you want to do, and you want to come in and you want to model everything off of what you know. As a Division I athlete, I wanted to come in and run my program that way, and I learned quickly that you can't do that at this level. You can't do some of the things, you can't demand some of the things that you did at that level. So I think coming in as a first-year head coach, I've made major changes as to how we do things within our program. So first year was exciting, but it was very difficult because you have to have patience. And at the time, the 27-some-year-old coach doesn't have patience. You want it to happen overnight. Yeah.
So yeah, and you talked obviously coming from the D1 background with that, the competitive turned up a notch, the competitiveness in the practices and the coaches and the physicality, and going from D3 level is definitely a big shift. What was your favorite moment so far? I know there's a lot, you have a lot to choose from, even like a top 5 moment in coaching at Marywood so far.
Honestly, probably 2 years ago when we played Gwen and Mercy here, and it was the first time that we had a chance to be the #1 seed in our conference going into the playoffs, and it was Alexa Gertzman and Tara Staken's senior year, and Alexa fouled out of the game, and I could remember her walking around and kind of grabbing everybody by the jersey and and giving them motivation in the last couple minutes of the game. And it was the first time I think we were 15-1 in the league, and we got the #1 seed. And I could just remember the gym was so loud. It was probably the loudest it had ever been here, packed with students, and that was probably one of my proudest coaching moments here.
I was there, and the electricity was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Seeing people, the gym was packed, and it was just the intensity level. It felt like a D1 game.
Yeah.
It honestly did. So that being said, you've been, and I'll get to this season in a minute, but you've been Marywood's head coach. You were assistant volleyball coach for 4 years. And I listed a few other things that you do at Marywood, the assistant athletic director. How do you juggle all that?
It's gotten easier over the years, because I think once you kind of get into a habit of doing it, you kind of learn how to balance your time. It's just like the student athletes have to do it. Time management and figuring out when you're going to get certain parts of your job done. I keep a list every day of my administrative responsibilities and my basketball responsibilities, and making sure I'm checking those off my list every day.
Yeah, so you find a system that works for you, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess moving on then to this upcoming season, I'll ask you one question before we go to break. What are you looking forward to most with this group that you have going into this season?
We've only had a couple practices, but I think the energy and excitement about this team is really high, and I think the energy level is really high. We have 7 newcomers with 5 returners, so it's new blood mixed with a lot of experience. So I'm excited about that. The youthfulness of the group and how hard they're working so far is really exciting as a coach.
Yeah. So I guess we'll talk about next season or this season right after the break. We'll be right back with more with Coach Macciocco right after this.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back as Coach Macciocco gives us some final thoughts on the upcoming season. So you talked about your group. You had a few practices so far. Any standouts from your freshman class that you see so far?
I don't know. I think, like I said, we have a really, really good, high-energy group of newcomers. We have 6 freshmen and a transfer that is really a freshman eligibility-wise, and 5 returners. And I think they're all just working really, really hard. And it's probably the most competitive group we've had in a while, and the most high-energy group, and most excited to get going. So I'm looking forward to seeing how hard they continue to work and see where that progresses throughout the year.
Talk about your returners. We have 3 in studio tonight. Talk to me a little bit about how important having returners or senior leadership on any team is.
I think the experience is going to help us tremendously this year, and I think the 5 that we have returning have all played key roles. At some point, one of them has made a shot that has put us over the top in a game. They've all played significant minutes. So if they could lead these younger guys through some of the struggles that we're going to have, because every year you have ups and downs with any sports team, if they could lead them through that and kind of help carry them through it with just their experience, we're going to be in good shape down the stretch.
So I mentioned as a part of your biography, you have made to the playoffs 9 of your 13 seasons. The last 2 seasons you've been #1 seed both times, but can't seem to get over that semifinal hump. What is there an answer to that? Is how do you get your team to get over that? I mean, I know you first have to get there, but if that situation arises again where you're the #1 seed, how do you get over it?
Well, the answer is last season is last season. This is a new season, and this is what you have to talk about every single day. Is this is a new year? We're starting from scratch. We're starting over. Although we have the experience, we're coming in every day, and it's an opportunity to get yourself better. We don't necessarily start talking about where we're going to finish and what we're going after right now. We're more focused in on getting better at the fundamentals every day, coming in and getting better, and working as hard as we possibly can. Our motto has always been outwork your opponents, and if you could outwork your opponents, you put yourself in a position to be successful. So last year is last year. This is a new year, and this is what we're focusing on this year.
So speaking of the new year, what offensively or defensively, what is the one thing that you want to improve upon? I know last year, but what is something that you've been focusing on in practice?
I don't want to give away too many of our strategies that we're going to use this year, but I think we have a lot more speed and athleticism, so we could get out and play a lot faster and impress some teams a little bit more. And I think the 3 ladies that are in the studio are going to be very happy about playing a lot faster. So I think that's something we're going to change. We have probably more shooters than we've ever had, so we're gonna do a lot more stuff to get some shots for some people too.
Golden State Warriors, right?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close.
A lot more shooters.
I don't know if we'll shoot them that deep.
No.
But yeah.
No, yeah. But so talk about, I guess, the 3 players that you have here today. We'll start with Gab Giordano. What is she? How have you seen her grow since her rookie of the year season?
I think she's worked so hard to get herself in the best physical shape that she possibly can, and then she's also worked on the mental game. Like as a freshman, she had Alexa here to kind of keep her in check, and she had to grow up real fast last year. And I think I'm seeing some things out of her now that she's becoming more vocal, and that's really good that she's starting to kind of communicate a little bit more on the floor. But she takes so many hits throughout a game. So I think she has herself in the best possible shape, physical shape that she could be in this year. She'll be able to absorb a lot more of that contact.
And now I guess we'll talk about Katie Nealon. What do we expect from her?
More communication, and she's doing that, and I love it. She's so much more vocal in practice, and we've been asking her to do that for 3 years or so, and now she's really stepped up over the last couple of practices and been much more vocal. She's back to the Katie that we saw in high school, which is great.
And I know that she led the team in 3-pointers last year.
Yep.
So looking to
continue
be one of your shooters.
Yeah. Katie's one of those that as soon as the ball leaves her hands, you know if it's in or not, and it's like you see it, you leave her hands, and you're like, yes, run back the other way. Yep.
She's already running back. She's backtracking. And then what about Lisa Staken?
Lisa makes big shots. I could remember back to the cross county challenge last year, playing Kings, and it went into overtime, and the ball gets into Lisa's hands with like 11 seconds left, and that killer crossover dribble that she has, and gets in the lane with her floater that she loves, and knocks it down. And she just has no fear. She wants the ball in her hands, and you know when it's in her hands, she's going to do something good with it.
Yeah, and those 3 on the court should be very fun to watch this year. So, I guess in general, your overall team, what are you looking at? What does the CSAC look like this year?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't know who anybody has coming in. With everybody coming back, I would say that we're probably battling the same teams that we battle every year with the Gwinnett, Cabrini, and the Newman, and we'll see. Not trying to look too far ahead.
Yeah, I know. So, I guess from a coaching perspective, I know you don't want to look too far ahead, but what do you maybe try to, I guess, address to your team, even like have addressed to your team, from like just a personality or I don't know, some message that you've given them, or I know it's very early, but so far this season.
We're just focused in right now. We have a scrimmage November 4th with Penn State Lehigh Valley, and that's what we're focusing on. Is we have 14 practices left till we get to that scrimmage. At the end of every practice, we all join hands and we say how many days we have left to get to that scrimmage, and that we're focusing in on every day getting better to prepare ourselves for that first scrimmage.
You will not give me anything.
Nope.
Nothing. Nothing. I try to ask her about, no, nothing. So I guess my last question is, looking at you as an overall, as a coach, just describe to me how far you've come personally, from your first days at Marywood to now your 14th season.
I'm trying to have a lot more patience. I think you still kind of have that. You want stuff to happen overnight and want it to happen quickly. And with a group with 7 young players, I think having patience every day, knowing that okay, that this is the first time they might be learning this terminology, just bear with it and kind of just take a deep breath and relax a little bit and not get so worked up over little things, and focus in on the positives that are happening every single day.
All right. Well, thank you. You were fantastic tonight.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, you get to see what happened when I challenged one of the women's basketball players to a 3-point contest. Don't go anywhere.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
It's easy to write about these players. It's not so easy to play at their level. I found that out the hard way when I attended one of Coach Macciocco's practices. Watch this. So, I haven't touched a basketball in a year, and I have to face one of the women's basketball players in a 3-point contest. And I'm going to get beat bad. Meet freshman pre-PA major Erica Bistron. She graduated from Dunmore High School and has been playing basketball since the 1st grade. By looking at my horrendous shooting form, she knows I will be her easiest opponent ever. And then there's me. After realizing that Erica scored 10 points, I know I'm in big trouble. I just have to take a deep breath, take my time, and concentrate. The chances of me winning are slim to none, but anything is possible, I guess.
Guys, he's knocking these out quick. Go quickly.
Money ball.
Money. Yo, one more.
Oh, man. This isn't good, Manny. No support. I get no support.
You got it. Let's go.
I guess not everything is possible. What I expect. Good effort. Thank you. I got an E for effort. Thank you. So I guess I don't make the team, right?
It's not all about three-point shooting. Yep.
Next, I sit down with the former Colonial States Athletic Conference Rookie of the Year, the team's leading three-point shooter last year, and a senior whose consistent production could put the Pacers over the top this year. These three players are crucial to the success of the team and have some unfinished business from a year ago. You get to meet them after the break.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Welcome back. I would like to introduce Marywood women's basketball players Gab Giordano, Lisa Staken, and Katie Nealon. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I just got done speaking with your coach, who would give me no insight on this next season, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to talk to you about personal, how you guys got into basketball. So I guess we'll start with Gab. How did you get into basketball? Do you remember the first time you picked up a basketball in your hands?
I remember being in like first or second grade and like picking up the ball in the garage and like asking my dad like what you do with it and everything, and we just started practicing in the driveway, and then he took me to a couple clinics, and I think he like found a league online at Riverfront. So then when I was in fourth grade, I just started playing down there and kind of just took off from there.
I would never expect you to be the one to say, what do I do with this? At such a young age. What about you, Lisa?
I was probably about 5 or 6, and my dad introduced it to me because I have older sisters, so like they were playing, so then like I was like just started doing what they were doing. So yeah, when I was like 5 or 6.
And what about you, Katie?
Same here. I had an older sister that played, so I started at a young age playing on her team, and I have a lot of cousins that played too. So my dad sent me to camps at a really young age.
So it was all like sister-dad influence with basketball. So talk about, I guess, your start competitively. You started at a Riverfront League, but what about Lisa? When did you start
playing competitively? Well, I have older sisters, so whatever they were doing, I was pretty much doing. So I was probably in first grade. So my oldest sister was probably in like the 5th grade. So like when she would go to practices, so would I. And there was like one tournament that they had and didn't have enough people. Like one girl got hurt, so like they let me play. So I was in like first grade playing on the 5th grade team for like a game. So that was pretty exciting.
Nice. Yeah. And then
I started in first grade on a team with my twin sister, my older sister, and my cousin. And that was the first time my grandpa coached us, and the only time he ever coached us, and he comes to every game now, so it's kind of a fun experience.
Yeah. So he coached you now, he comes to like every single one of your games. So I guess we'll jump like all the way to when you first started to get recruited by Coach Macciocco. What was that experience like for you, having played competitively since you were so young?
I mean, obviously seeing her at games, you get a little nervous because, you know, you want to do your best, you don't want to mess up or anything. But I think I came to a camp here when I was like a sophomore or a junior in high school. And just like talking to Coach Mack and Coach Lindsay, I think I just fell in love with the school and fell in love with the program. So the choice was easy.
And what about your, to have a particular educational side as well, or was it primarily basketball first and foremost?
It was pretty much basketball.
Yeah. And what about you, Lisa?
I was really late with deciding where I wanted to go. So I had like my senior like all-star game, and coach came to that. And then my sister was also like thinking about transferring, so like we were trying to go to the same spot. So then coach like recruited both of us. But yeah, it was exciting. Basketball definitely drew me to Marywood, and Coach Mack made that decision way easier.
Former D1 Penn State player. And finally, you, Katie, what was it like getting recruited by Coach Macciocco?
Well, you heard Coach talk about her dad before, and he was actually the head coach of our biggest rival in high school, so she would go to support him, and she saw me play through those games. And my senior year, we got to play at Marywood a few times. So she was always there. We always joke about how she kind of stalked me. But,
she would go to every single game and just stalk you the whole time.
Well, because I was so close. So she did come to a lot of the games, and at the time I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play basketball in college. So I'm really grateful that she got me here to play.
Did she have to pull any teeth, or was it just kind of once you, like, she started talking to you, you were just... You wanted to play in college?
Yeah, very convincing.
Very convincing coach. So I guess take us back. I'll go to Lisa. Take us back to that first meeting with Coach Macciocco. I don't know if it was at a game or even like taking you around campus here. What was it like meeting her for the first time?
I want to say it was at that All-Star game because, like how I said, I was really late with like making my decision. So I want to say she came to my game, and then like once I saw her like show up, I was like really nervous. Cause, like Gab said, you want to like try to do your best and like, I don't know, play good. So like she watched me, like everything went fine. And then after like just talking to her, it's still like kind of nerve-wracking, but like exciting at the same time because like Coach is like a really easy person to just talk to and get along with. So it was fine. I was nervous for nothing.
So Coach Macciocco going a Dunmore graduate, Dunmore High School graduate, coming to a Holy Cross game. What was it like?
I mean, I don't know if she kind of like felt any like pressure walking into Holy Cross or anything, but I mean, I don't know. I think Dunmore was kind of her alma mater and everything, but you kind of go out of your way to like do the things you need to do in recruiting and things like that. So. But and it was close to home.
And what was it like seeing her at the game? Were you nervous? Did you want to get more shots, or what happened?
I was pretty nervous. Yeah. I mean, after a while, you kind of like just get used to like them being there and everything. But definitely the first couple times, I was nervous.
Yeah. So when we return, I talked to these players about their experience as a member of the Marywood women's basketball team and playing for Coach Macciocco.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back to the show as our conversation continues. So we talked about how you guys were recruited. Katie was stalked by Coach Macciocco. But other than that, what was her first practice like, especially even just going from a high school level to a collegiate level? What was the differences and what did you feel right off the bat? And I guess I'll start with Lisa first.
I guess I feel nervous a lot, but because I was really nervous again, just because like high school is so much different than college, and I wasn't really too sure of like what I should expect like going into practice, and then I was just really nervous about it. So yeah.
And just the obviously she's been at a D1 level practice, so she's got some tools in her belt to utilize that practice. But what was it like? I guess I'll go to Gabby. Like coming from high school, Holy Cross has a great basketball program in general, but then moving into even D3 college, what was it like?
I think the time you spend kind of putting into your game changes a lot. Just like after school, like in high school, you kind of just go to practice and that's pretty much it. But when you're here, you're lifting, you're doing skill work, you're meeting with your coaches to watch film, and then you're doing your practices on top of that. So just the commitment that you put into the sport is definitely a big change.
Because at high school level, it's like you go to classes and then after school. But this is kind of all throughout the day, just consistently working on your game. And Katie, what was it like for, getting coached by Coach Macciocco? What was the difference between her and maybe your high school coach, or just that environment? What was it like?
Well, I grew up going to my high school coach's camp, so I played with the same kids since I was really young, and he got to know me very well. So it was kind of a big adjustment. You're playing for a new coach. But like I said, through the recruiting process, you got to know her really well too. So it wasn't too hard when you got here. And
you said you played with the same players throughout, so now you're with a completely new group of players from all over the area, all over the region, maybe even the country too. So I guess we'll start with, and I'm mixing it up too. I'm mixing questions up. I'll go to Gabby. Your rookie year, you won Rookie of the Year for the conference. Tell me how that experience was like for you, being able to win Rookie of the Year. I know you guys don't like to look back, but what was that like? Do you remember bits and pieces of that season, or was there a high moment for you?
I mean, it was a fun year overall, but I think Coach Mac talked about the Gwinnett game that we had here, to have a chance to be first in the conference, and like that game was awesome. Just Alexa came over to me at the end of the game, was like kind of yelling at me to play defense and stuff, and just kind of getting ready to go. So
yeah, I said I was going to stop with the same questions, but Coach Macciocco did say that game was important for all of you guys. So just take us back to that game. I'll go to Lisa. What was it like, the environment, that experience?
It was just like intense, but I feel like we like fed off of it, like especially like being home and everything. Like we just fed off of like the crowd's energy, and like I think as a team, like we all wanted to win so bad. So then like just doing it together, like accomplishing it together, just makes it like so much better.
And every basket, every shot, every foul, every turnover, it meant everything. Everything was on the line. Yeah. Katie, what was, I guess, a moment that you remember most about that game?
Like you said, every single pass, shot, steal, everything counted towards the end goal of winning the game. So I don't remember anything particularly, but every single play was important.
Every single play was intense.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was intense. All right. So I guess I'll stay with you, Katie. What was, like, I guess from your game, what has improved the most under Coach Macciocco? Offensively, defensively, it could be anything. And how has that improved over the years?
I think everything overall has improved since high school. But definitely my footwork on my shot has improved a lot, and it made my shooting percentage a lot higher.
And what, Lisa, Coach Macciocco talked about your crossover, was it?
Yeah.
What has been, I guess, the biggest improvement for you from your freshman year here to now? You're a senior now, so what was that like for you?
I would have to say, like what Katie said too, probably everything, because Coach doesn't just focus on like one specific thing for like per person. It's like we literally work on everything. So like today, like post people were dribbling. Like we're always working on like different things. So I'd have to say everything, but probably like my leadership skills is what improved the most. And Coach like brought that out of me.
How so?
Well, just like talking to Coach a lot, and like reading books, and just like talking with my coaches and like my teammates and stuff like that.
Being vocal, like a vocal leader on the court as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Constantly talking.
Yeah. Because I know that a silent court is never a good court. So what about you, Gabby? What was it? Out of everything that's improved since high school, what is the one thing that you could say that's definitely a step up?
I think kind of how I like see the floor when I'm out there and stuff. In high school, I had a habit of making my mind up of what I was gonna do before the play actually happened, and I think that caused like a lot of like turnovers that didn't need to be, or bad shots. So now I think I kind of read what people are doing instead of just making my mind up and doing it no matter what.
Okay, well, we have to take a short break, but when we return, you'll hear the final part of our conversation with the players from the Marywood women's basketball team. Don't go anywhere.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, that can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Welcome back to the show as our final part of our conversation with the members of the Marywood women's basketball team. Coach Macciocco didn't give me a lot of insight on this season because you guys apparently never look back and only look forward, and only look forward up until the first scrimmage game. So what's it like, Katie, getting back into the swing of things? I know it probably doesn't stop for you, but getting back on the court, getting back to practice, what has that been like so far?
Well, you can only do so much over the summer. You know, there's not a lot of girls around here that want to play, so definitely when you get right back to school and we all start playing again, it's really exciting, especially with this many new people on our team.
And how has that been like interacting with the new maybe freshmen? I know you have one transfer on your team as well. How has that been like so far? It's been really fun. There's a lot of new energy on the team, so it's cool to get to know all the new kids too. Lisa, you talked about leadership. Being a senior and having so many freshmen on the team, what kind of, I know you just met some of them, what has it been like trying to talk to them, give them advice? What has that been like for you as a senior leadership role?
Well, they're all very nice girls, and like they all obviously really like basketball, so like they're very easy to, like, for lack of a better word, like push like to do something. So like, I don't know, they make it easy for us, honestly. They're not hard people to like motivate. Motivate or coach or anything like that? Yes, hopefully it continues throughout the whole season.
It is a long season, yeah. So I hope it does continue. So I guess out of the freshman pool too, you all were in their shoes at one point or another. I guess what would you tell a freshman or a recruit at this point, just starting out the season? I guess what's your biggest advice when you just start and when you just start meeting your teammates? That's for you. Be humble or just be coachable, or?
Yeah, definitely listen to like what coach is saying and everything, and like it's probably very different. Oh, I mean, maybe not, but it's different than what they've had in high school. So just being receptive to what she has to say and what the captains are saying and what your teammates are relaying to you.
And some players come from a smaller school, and I know Marywood isn't a big school, but maybe they were the best player on their team or something, and now you're a freshman and you're starting from the bottom, and then you got to work your way up. So definitely being coachable is one aspect that they need to have. So I guess going to the individual roles on the team, Lisa, what do you see your role as this year? I know you've had 3 practices so far, but you've been on the team. What do you see your role being?
Well, like I said before, like being a leader, whether I'm on the court or I'm on the bench, so like keeping the energy with the girls on the bench that aren't playing, like keeping them in the game, and then like when I'm on the floor, just making sure like everybody's doing like what they need to be doing as well as myself.
And you mentioned being on the bench because those girls have to be ready to be in the game. They haven't played maybe the entire for the first 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and you have to keep that energy up.
Yeah, so you always have to be ready to and like just be focused. Yeah. If you're not like actually in the game, like when it's time for you to go in, you're gonna be lost.
So Katie, Go ahead.
No,
You're good. So Katie has a shot that you just know if it's going in or not. What do you see your role, I guess, on the court this year? Obviously being vocal. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, as a senior, you want to lead by example. So you want to show all of the younger kids what's expected of them. And if I'm doing it, you want to know that they're doing it too.
Yeah, and you want to make sure they're listening to you as well.
And working just as hard.
And if not, you got to be like Alexa.
Yeah.
And grab them. I guess I'll go to Gabby with this next question. Looking at the season, I know you look at Penn State, Lehigh Valley, but looking at the season, you in the CSAC conference, a lot of teams are probably returning in the same boat as you. Maybe have a lot of new players. What is your personal mentality going into this year, as your junior year?
I mean, obviously you want to win games, but I definitely want to do better than we did last year. But we're not really looking at that right now. We're kind of just worried about our first scrimmage, and that's kind of the mentality that we all have on our team.
So looking at that first scrimmage game then, because we're not going to go past that. You are great at making interviews harder, but it's fine. So looking at that first scrimmage, and even thinking back to last year's first scrimmage, what was that like for you, and what do you want to see out of that first scrimmage? Chemistry or things like that? I guess I'll go to Lisa for that.
I think what you just said, chemistry, and what coach says, all our coaches say after every practice is we want to get better. Right now we have 14 practices left until our first scrimmage. So every day we're just worried about getting better. So then during the actual scrimmage, we want to make sure that we're incorporating what we did throughout all of our practices into that scrimmage and playing together as a team. Yeah.
And I guess my final question, anyone can answer this, but I kind of think I have to direct it, or no, none of you will answer this. So the goal is obviously to win a conference title. But what has Coach Macciocco been preaching to you so far this year? One-liner. I'll go to Katie.
She wants us to come in every day and work hard, and for us to know that if we do that what we want to happen to win the championship will come along with it.
Outwork the other team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that is it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have to take our last break. When we come back, I tell you what to expect next week.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah. But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
I want to thank Coach Macciocco and her players for taking time out of their schedule to talk to us tonight. I wish the women's basketball team the best of luck in their 2017-2018 campaign. I would also like to thank you for taking the time out to watch the show. In the next episode, I sit down with men's basketball head coach Enrico Mastriani as he discusses what he has in store for his team and the rest of the CSAC this season. Head over to TV-Marywood's official YouTube page to watch full, uninterrupted episodes of the show. Be sure to follow TV-Marywood on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see all of you back next week. Good night.